Alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. What began as a warning has become a welcome. The station was now fully alive. Where once there was silence, now there was light. Where once there was stillness, now there were voices: scientists, engineers, explorers walking the same halls the ancient builders once walked. Commander Alina Bryce stood in the central garden, surrounded by soft green leaves and glowing crystal pillars. She watched her crew pass by with calm faces and careful steps. She had spent months here now. This station had become more than a mission, it had become a second home. But still, her heart hadn't fully settled, because even though Isaac had arrived, things weren't the same. They had spoken. Yes, had smiled, shared coffee, and remembered old missions. But there was space between them. Not the space between stars, but the kind between people. They were both careful with their words. Both unsure of where they stood now. So much had changed. And yet, care was still there. Alina could feel it, but she didn't know what to do with it. Not yet. One day, Laren requested a private meeting. "You have done well," the ancient AI said. "This station is no longer sleeping, and others are beginning to hear its call." Alina nodded. "Other species?" Elrond said. "They, too, are coming. Not to take, but to learn, because you came with open hands. The galaxy is watching." She didn't know how to respond to that, so she asked something else. "Elrond, how do you rebuild something that's not quite broken, but not whole either?" Laren paused for a moment. "You begin by standing still, by listening, and by offering light without forcing it to shine." Alina nodded slowly. She understood. Later, that evening, she found Isaac in the garden room. He was sitting beneath the same tree she had sat under alone so many times. He looked up. "Didn't expect you here," he said with a soft smile. "I could say the same," she replied gently. He patted the bench beside him. She sat for a while. Neither of them spoke. The quiet was warm, not cold. Then Isaac said, "I'm sorry I took so long to come. I think I was scared." Alina looked at him. "Scared of what?" "Of coming back and finding nothing left," he said quietly. "Of the friendship fading." She looked down at her hands. "I was scared too," she whispered. "Scared of reaching too far?" Isaac gave her a soft smile. "But you reached anyway." She nodded. "That's what we do, right? Humans. We reach." They talked for a long time. Not about the past, not about what could have been, but about now, the station, the crew, the future. They laughed softly, shared stories again. Bit by bit, the distance shrank. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to remind them that something strong still lived between them. Something that didn't need to be perfect to be real. The next day, Alina stood on the station's outer deck, where a clear glass wall showed the stars in every direction. Ships from Earth were arriving. So were ships from peaceful alien races drawn by the beacon the station is now sent across the stars. A message not of power, but of peace. Illaron had rewritten the original signal. It now said, "You are not alone. There is light here. Come gently." Alina smiled. That message said everything she felt. Everything she hoped others would feel too. She returned to her desk that night and wrote one last message in her personal log. "To anyone who finds this. We came into this sector expecting danger. What we found was memory, trust, and the chance to be better. Humanity doesn't always have the answers, but we try, we listen. We carry pain and hope together. And even when people grow apart, we keep building bridges. Sometimes one message is enough to change everything. Sometimes one step forward can wake up a sleeping world." She closed the log and looked out at the stars. Isaac stood nearby watching. With her quiet, present, enough. Because humans are not perfect. They feel lost. They make mistakes. They wait too long. They doubt. But they also remember. They care. They reach out again and again. And in the darkest corners of space, they leave. Light behind. Asterisk alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. That contact changed everything. The future is no longer alone. The station hummed softly with life. The once silent halls were filled with laughter, voices, and footsteps. Ships from many worlds had arrived, drawn to the light that humans and Aileron had rekindled together. Commander Alina Bryce stood at the observation deck, watching the stars move across the sky. She felt a calm she hadn't known for a long time. Isaac was beside her, not just in messages, not just in memories. But here, it hadn't been easy. After all the waiting, the silence, and the doubts, they had learned something important. Distance could stretch far, but it could never erase the care people held in their hearts. They had faced fears of rejection, of change, of losing what they loved, but they hadn't given up. They kept reaching. Alina remembered the first message she sent to Isaac. How scared. She was to say those simple words. And now, after everything, they stood together, not perfect, but real. Isaac smiled and said softly, "You were right. Connection isn't just about being close. It's about being present when it counts." Alina nodded. It's about hope. The station was no longer just a relic of a lost civilization. It was a beacon of new beginnings, a place where different species could learn from each other, a symbol that even in the darkest parts of space, light could be found. And it all started because someone chose to listen in the quiet of the station's garden. Alina and Isaac planted a new tree together. It was small, strong. Its leaves caught the soft light and shimmered. As they worked, Alina said, "No matter where we go next, we carry this, the memories, the hope, the promise." Isaac smiled and placed a hand on her shoulder. Always. The galaxy was waking up. Not with war, not with fear, but with kindness, with stories, with connection, and humanity was at the heart of it all. Because humans are made to care, to hope, to reach, to light the dark, and no matter how far apart they drift, there is always a way back. Alina turned to Isaac and said, "Ready to see what comes next?" He nodded. Together, the stars outside shone brighter, and the sector was alive. Alert! Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. What was lost may now be found. Humanity has been chosen. Commander Alina Bryce sat in the quiet center of the alien station. Blue lights glowed softly around her. The air was calm, filled with the hum of old systems coming back to life. Before her, the voice of Aileron spoke gently. "I have waited many years," the AI said, "and now I choose to give everything I have." "To you?" Alina's eyes widened. "Everything." She asked. Aaron responded, "All the knowledge of my creators, their history, their science, their understanding of peace and balance. They wanted someone kind and brave to carry it forward." Alina didn't answer right away. She just listened to the soft hum of the room, her heart beating slowly in her chest. She felt honored. She also felt alone. Isaac's message was still fresh in her heart. He had replied. He had missed her too, but he was still far away. Still. Just words on a screen? It was good. It helped. But it wasn't the same as having someone beside you. Back on the Horizon Star, the crew was excited. Aileron had shared clean energy plans, advanced learning systems, and peaceful diplomacy models. The data was huge. Earth Command had already sent messages of approval and amazement, but Alina stayed quiet. She smiled with the crew, nodded at the reports, and gave orders, but her thoughts kept returning to Isaac. She wondered if he would have liked this moment. He had always been curious, always asking questions. He loved ancient stories and old wisdom. He would have walked the halls of the station with a big grin, pointing at everything and making quiet jokes. She missed that. She missed him. And even though they had spoken again, distance still felt real. Later that night, she returned to the station alone. "Aileron," she asked quietly, "how did your people deal with distance? With separation?" There was a pause. Then Aileron replied, "They built places like this. Not to stay close, but to stay connected. They knew they couldn't hold everything forever, but they believed in memory, in sharing what mattered most. Lena looked around. They didn't want to be forgotten. No, Ellerin said, and they never wanted others to feel alone. She walked slowly through the station's inner chamber. On the walls were symbols, pictures that showed people hugging, laughing, teaching. Below them, words appeared in translation. The strongest light is the one we pass on. Alina paused. That line stayed with her. Maybe distance didn't mean forgetting. Maybe connection wasn't always about being close. Maybe it was about remembering, about sharing, about holding someone in your thoughts. Long after they leave, she sat down at her desk that night and recorded a message for Isaac. Isaac, you would love this station. Everything here feels like a message from the past to the future. They wanted to teach us, not with warnings, but with hope. I keep thinking about something Elleron told me. The connection is more than presence. It's about memory, about what we choose to keep alive. I still remember your laugh. It's the way you always asked the weirdest questions. The way you made space feel like home. Just wanted you to know, you're still part of my light, she said. At this time, she didn't feel nervous. She felt calm. The next morning, the ship's science officer brought her a message. Alina, he said, smiling. Earth Command wants to start building a new outpost here, with the help of Elleron. They want you to stay and lead it? Alina blinked. Me. You found it. You earned its trust. You helped it come alive again. She looked at the screen in silence, then nodded. Okay, she said. I'll stay. In the coming days, the station began to change. Lights grew brighter. Hallways became easier to walk. Even the air felt warmer. Elleron seemed pleased. Was happy to share again, happy to be remembered. And so was Alina. She started leaving little notes in her log. Stories, thoughts, things she didn't want to forget. Things she wanted someone else to read someday. One night she received a new message from Isaac. Alina, your last message stayed with me all day. I think your right connection isn't about being close. It's about what we carry with us. I've asked for a transfer. Maybe there's still a place for me there with the station, and with you, if it's not too late. Alina sat there for a long time, just holding the message in her hands. Then she whispered to the empty room, it's not too late. Because humans didn't just explore space, they carried stories. They built bridges between stars and between hearts. Even when people moved away, even when they grew distant, humanity kept reaching, not with fear, but with hope. Asterisk alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. Not all lights bring comfort. Even trust can tremble. The alien station was now fully awake. Its long halls glowed brighter each day. The lights were warmer. The systems worked better. The quiet hum of power filled every room like soft music. Commander Alina Bryce should have felt proud, but something inside her was unsettled. The crew was busy learning from the alien systems. Elleron, the station's AI, shared knowledge, freely clean energy models, peaceful negotiation tactics, and even new farming technology that could feed entire planets. And yet, some people were starting to worry. What if this is too easy? One crew member whispered. What if the AI is hiding something? Said another. Alina understood their fear. The unknown often made people nervous. But what worried her more was the silence growing again between her and Isaac. He hadn't replied yet to her last message. He had said he wanted to come, that he had asked for a transfer, that he still cared, but that was days ago now. Every time her message screen blinked, she hoped it was from him, but it never was. Just data logs. Just updates, not the voice she longed to hear. One evening, she sat in the station's garden chamber. Elleron had helped grow Earth's plants, their ferns, sunflowers, even small trees from seeds the crew had carried. The space was beautiful and quiet. Still, her thoughts were noisy. She remembered laughing with Isaac on Earth years ago, beneath a tree just like this. She remembered the way he always leaned forward when he was excited, the way his voice warmed. When he talked about the stars, she missed that more than she expected. And now, she wasn't sure if he still meant to return. Maybe he had changed his mind. Maybe she had expected too much. She whispered into the air, "Aileron, how do you deal with doubt?" The AI answered gently, "By remembering truth, not fear, not guessing, but what is real." Alina closed her eyes. The truth was she missed him. The truth was she cared. The truth was she didn't know what he was thinking. But maybe that was okay. The next day, a small error showed up in the station's systems. One light panel flickered. A few crew members became nervous. "What if the AI is failing?" one asked. Alina stood firm. "No system is perfect," she said calmly. "Not even human ones. What matters is how we respond with panic or with patience." She led a calm repair mission. The panel was fixed in minutes. Aaron thanked her. "You lead with peace," it said, "even when others bring fear." Lena smiled, but it faded quickly. She still hadn't heard from Isaac. That night, she sat down at her screen and began to write one more time. "Isaac, I don't know if you're still coming. I don't know if things changed or if you're unsure. And that's okay. I just wanted to say I'm still here. This station is more than wires and lights. It's a memory of care, of trust, of reaching across time. I guess I just wanted to do the same. You don't have to reply. Just wanted. You two know I still believe in the connection we had. I hope wherever you are that you're okay." She sent the message. Not to get an answer, just to speak her truth. Days passed. The station continued to grow. Earth Command sent more ships. The Horizon Star became a symbol of peaceful progress. Even other alien species sent quiet messages of curiosity. And yet, Elena still carried a small ache inside. Not because she was alone, but because she still missed someone. And that was part of being human too. One evening, she visited the first room they had entered when they found the station. She placed a single sunflower in the center of the floor. "For memory," she whispered, "for what we carry." And as she turned to leave, her cum badge blinked. "She pressed it, Commander," said the crew chief, voice shaking. "You have a visitor?" "A ship just arrived." Elena paused. "Name?" The reply was quiet. "Isaac." Her breath caught. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she smiled. Not the big, wide smile of joy, but the quiet one of someone who had waited. Hoped hadn't been answered, because humans don't give up easily. They doubt, yes. They fear, but they keep showing up. They keep sending messages into silence. They keep planting sunflowers in ancient stations. And even when they don't know how to reconnect, they keep trying. Because in their heart, humanity remembers. Humanity hopes. Humanity reaches. Alert! Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. Beneath layers of cosmic dust, a secret sleeps, forgotten by time. The Horizon Star drifted slowly toward the strange structure in the nebula. The alien station looked ancient, as if it had been waiting for centuries. Its design was beautiful and unknown smooth curves of silver and soft lights glowing from within. Like fireflies frozen in time, Commander Elena Bryce stood at the front of the bridge, staring at the image on the screen. Everyone was quiet. Even the hum of the ship felt softer, as if the station's silence was asking them to listen. But inside, Elena felt noise. Thoughts, memories. Isaac's message had brought her joy. Yes, but also more questions. What did it mean now? Could they ever return to what they had before? Or was the connection just a memory now? Even when someone replies, sometimes the distance still feels the same. A boarding team was prepared. The scans showed no life signs, no movement, and no threats. Just low, steady power in a pressurized environment. Elena chose to lead the team herself. They floated across space in a small shuttle and entered the station through a large central bay. The doors opened without resistance. It was as if the station had been expecting them. Inside, the walls glowed softly with blue and gold light. Strange symbols ran along the floor. The air was warm, dry, and clean and touched for ages. No dust. No decay. Just stillness. Alina walked carefully through the first corridor, her gloved hand brushing against a smooth railing. The architecture was unlike anything human. It was elegant, thoughtful, gentle. "Commander," whispered Lieutenant Sora, "this place doesn't feel abandoned. It feels asleep." Alina nodded. "And maybe we're the alarm." It reached what looked like a central chamber. At its heart was a raised platform surrounded by curved pillars. Each pillar pulsed with a dim light matching the rhythm of the signal they had followed. Iris, their ship's AI, linked with the station and began collecting data. "It's a data archive," Iris said, "but deeply encrypted. The systems are trying to wake up." Lena stepped closer and stared at the core. It glowed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. She whispered, "Who left you here? What were you waiting for?" "Back on the ship," Elena returned to her quarters. She sat down with her tea again, looking at the blank screen in front of her. Isaac hadn't written again yet. One message, one reply, and now silence again. She knew it wasn't fair to expect more right away. She knew people needed time, space, but she also knew her own heart didn't understand logic very well. She wanted to talk, to laugh, to tell him everything, to ask him if he still remembered how things used to be. But she didn't send another message. She didn't want to push. So instead, she just sat there, with her tea, the silence, and the gentle hum of a station. Waking up, the next day, Iris spoke up. "Commander, the station AI is attempting to connect." Elena's eyes widened. "Is it speaking?" "Not in words," Iris replied, "but in patterns, images, feelings." The screen lit up with swirling shapes. Then a picture formed, a group of tall, elegant beings placing something inside the station's core. They smiled, hugged each other, and walked away. "They left it behind," Alina whispered. "They knew they wouldn't come back." Another image appeared, stars moving, galaxies shifting, and then a human ship arriving. "They were waiting for someone," said Sora. "Not just anyone. For us." Alina watched the images in silence. Maybe. This station had felt lonely too, waiting in the dark, hoping someone would care enough to listen. Later that night, Lena sat down again at her screen. This time she wrote Isaac another message. "Hi again. We found something. An alien station deep in a nebula. But what's strange is it doesn't feel alien. It feels familiar. I think they were waiting for someone to find it, not with force, but with kindness. I just wanted to share it with you. You always loved stories like this. No need to reply quickly. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you." She sent it and smiled. She didn't feel so lost this time, because humans were made for more than surviving. They were made for reaching out, for finding beauty in silence, for waking up forgotten things, not with fear, but with care. Even when the past feels far away, even when people drift apart, there's still a path forward. And in the quiet moments, there is always hope. Asterisk alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. The silence has broken. The past is speaking. The alien station had been silent for so long, drifting through the stars, half asleep and waiting. But now, something inside it was changing. Commander Elena Bryce stood quietly in the control room. Of the horizon star, the soft hum of the ship was steady, but her thoughts were not. Her eyes stayed on the screen in front of her where light danced and symbols shifted. "Iris." The ship's AI worked with the station systems to make sense. "Of it, they are opening more files," Iris said. "An artificial mind is trying to speak with us." Elena leaned forward. "Show me." Slowly, shapes began forming. Not just images, but motion recordings of a civilization that no longer existed. People, tall and graceful, with eyes full of light. They moved through gardens, walked beneath glowing trees, and flew through skies that shimmered like glass. And then, a voice. It wasn't human, but it was soft and kind. "I am Eleron," it said. "I am the voice of those who are gone. I am here, to remember." The crew gathered to watch the message. The room was silent except for Eleron's voice. "We lived in peace," it said. We explored the stars. We gave more than we took. But time is not always gentle. Our world fell silent. Before we left, we built this place not as a warning, but as a wish. That one day someone would come. Someone who listened. Someone with heart. Alina felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't just a message. It was a memory of hope. That evening, Alina sat alone in her quarters. The message from Aileron stayed in her mind. She thought of the people who built that station. She thought of how they didn't want to be forgotten. 8. How they had placed their trust in the future in someone they would never meet. It reminded her of something else of Isaac. He had trusted her too once. With stories, with silence, with friendship. She had trusted him with the same now, even though they were far apart. That trust still felt like a bridge thin, maybe, but still there. She opened her message log. No reply yet from her last message. Still, she wrote again. Isaac, the station, is speaking now. The AI's name is Aileron. Remembers everything, every garden, every story, every goodbye. It's like talking to the soul of a forgotten world. It made me think about you. About how memories connect to 7 when we're far away. I hope you're okay. No need to rush. Just thank you for listening. She didn't expect a reply right away. She just needed to say it. Sometimes saying something, anything, was the most human thing of all. The next day, Iris told her something new. Commander Aileron is requesting to speak directly with a person, a human. Alina blinked. You mean like a conversation? Yes, Iris said. It has waited long enough. It wishes to share more, but only with someone it trusts. Alina took a deep breath. Tell it I'll listen. Inside the station, Alina stood before a glowing pillar. The light moved gently, and then the voice returned. Thank you, Aileron said. It has been so long since someone answered. Alina nodded slowly. We're here now. You're different, Aileron said. You feel things deeply. You reach for connection, even in silence. That is why I waited. Alina swallowed the lump in her throat. We miss people too, she said, even when they're still out there. We don't always know how to reconnect, but we try. That is what makes you strong, Aileron replied, not power. Technology, but care. Memory. The need to reach out. Lena smiled softly. Maybe it didn't take an advanced mind to understand something that simple. Back on the ship, new message blinked on her screen. Isaac, Alina, I've read every message you sent. I didn't know what to say before, but now I do. I miss you too. I think about you every time I look at the stars. Thank you for not giving up on me. Let's talk soon. I'm ready now. She read it twice, then 3 times, then sat very still. Her eyes shimmered, but not from sadness. From something brighter. Because that's what humanity was made of. Not just strength or speed or ships, but quiet bravery. The bravery to feel, to wait, to reach out again and again, even when it hurts. To believe the silence can answer, and when it does, to say, I'm still here. Alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. The crew stands ready, sensors are locked, and the galaxy holds its breath. What will they find out there? Lena Bryce stood alone at the wide window of the horizon star watching. The stars drift by. The galaxy looked peaceful out there, but inside her, it felt different. Quiet. Lonely. It had been months since Captain Isaac left the ship. He was her closest friend, someone she had served with for 5 years. They had shared stories, meals, and long quiet moments between missions. They had laughed in the command deck, whispered about Earth's oceans, and promised to visit them together someday. But now, he was going to transfer to a new deep space. Assignment on the other side of the galaxy. Alina didn't tell anyone how much she missed him. She had thought it would be easier than this. His voice could still be heard. But somehow, distance made even those messages feel like echoes. He was busy. She was busy. They both said talk soon, but soon kept slipping away. Now she just stared out the window, wondering if he thought about her too. The alert came suddenly. Commander Bryce said the ship's AI Iris. We are receiving an unidentified signal in the sector. No known source. Faint, but repeating. Alina blinked. Location. Iris displayed it on the screen. Quiet patch of stars. No recorded activity. She narrowed her eyes. The signal didn't sound threatening, just steady. Curious. Let's check it out, she said softly. Maybe work would distract her from the ache inside. The ship adjusted course. Later that night, alone in her cabin, Alina sat with her tea, thinking again about Isaac. She hadn't messaged him in 2 weeks. She kept typing and deleting the same words. Hey, how are things? Miss talking to you. I hope you're doing okay. But every time she stopped, what if he was too busy? What if he had moved on from their friendship? What if reaching out just reminded him how far they were now? She sighed and set her mug down. Maybe the stars were easier to understand than people. As they got closer to the signal, Alina noticed something strange. The repeating message had structure. It wasn't random static. It was rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The crew couldn't explain it. The science officer ran checks. No known language. No warning signs. Just a soft pulse of sound across space. They started calling it the whisper, for some reason. It made Alina think of Isaac again. A few days later, she stood alone in the observation deck again. The stars looked different this time. Closer. Brighter. She watched the faint glow of the nebula in the distance, where the signal was strongest. Iris, she whispered, do you think it's a message? I believe it is, Commander, the AI replied, but not one meant to scare us. It feels like someone asking to be heard. Alina smiled softly. Maybe that was what she was doing too. That night, she sat at her desk and finally wrote a message to Isaac. Hi, I know it's been a while. I guess I've been thinking too much and not saying enough. There's something about this new signal. It made me realize how much I've missed talking to you. Hope your side of the stars is treating you well. Maybe we can talk soon. Pressure, just wanted to say that I still care, Alina. She hit send before she could delete it again. Then she leaned back and stared at the stars. The next morning, she checked her messages. Nothing. A small part of her felt disappointment. Rising, but she pushed it down. She had sent the message, so that was something. And somewhere out there, a signal waited. Unknown, unexplained, but not ignored. She felt a quiet hope. Maybe connection didn't always come fast. Maybe it took time, like stars aligning in silence. But humans always found a way. They reached, they listened. They waited, and when the moment was right, they answered. End of part 1. Word count. A20. Asterisk alert. Human warship reports unidentified contact in the sector. The signal is no accident. Something or someone's calling from the dark. Alina Bryce sat alone in her command chair, her eyes fixed on the view screen. The stars drifted silently past. Somewhere out there, just ahead of them, was the source of the signal. The mysterious pattern still pulsed in the background, a soft, steady rhythm like someone knocking gently on a faraway door. But Alina's mind wasn't on the signal. It was still on Isaac. It had been 3 days since she messaged him. No reply. She tried to tell herself he was just busy. Deep space missions could mean long blackout zones. But the silence stung. She had finally opened her heart, and now it felt like the message had been lost in the void, like her words didn't matter anymore. She didn't tell the crew how she felt. Stayed calm, gave orders, stayed focused. That was her job. That was her strength. But inside, something felt like it was slowly drifting further and further away, down in the science lab. The ship's sensors kept working on the signal. The message had changed slightly. It now included a set of coordinates. Alina studied them carefully. They led deeper into the nebulan area marked as uncharted. The crew looked nervous. Should we proceed? Asked the navigator. Alina nodded. Yes, someone sent that signal. Someone wanted it found. She didn't say it out loud, but she felt something familiar in that message. Not danger, not a trap, loneliness, and maybe hope. That night, she stood at the observation deck again. The stars beyond the glass were partly hidden by the thick blue mist of the nebula. Faint flickers of light danced inside its small bursts, like distant lightning. It was beautiful, quiet, lonely, just like she felt. Iris. She whispered to the AI, "Have you ever lost connection with someone who mattered?" The AI paused. "As a digital system, I do not experience emotion, but I can observe patterns. I have noticed that when humans miss someone, they often send a message into silence and wait longer than they should." Alina smiled faintly. "You think I waited too long?" "I think hope is never wasted," Iris replied. "Even in the void, echoes can return." Alina stared into the nebula. She didn't know if she believed it, but she wanted to. The next day, the ship approached the coordinates. What they found surprised everyone. Floating in the mist was a structure, ancient, silent, and large. It looked like a station, but made from materials none of them had seen. Before it shimmered slightly, like it didn't fully exist in this dimension. There was no response to their hails. No motion, but the signal was coming directly from it. Alina ordered a scan. Energy readings were faint, but steady. No danger. As the crew looked at the image on the screen, Alina felt a quiet pull in her chest. This station had waited a long time to be found, just like she had waited for a reply. Later, in her quarters, she sat quietly with a datapad in her hands. She reread the message she had sent to Isaac. Then, to her surprise, her screen blinked. New message received. Her breath caught it. It was from Isaac. "Alina, I'm sorry I didn't reply sooner. Things here have been harder than I expected. I didn't know what to say, and the days kept passing. I'm really glad you messaged me. I've missed you too, more than I wanted to admit. I hope we can talk again soon, maybe even meet again. Someday. Don't stop reaching out. Isaac." Alina closed her eyes. The silence had finally broken. That night, she sat by the window with her tea, a soft smile on her face. The nebula outside shimmered quietly, and the ancient station floated in the mist, still waiting for someone to truly understand it. She didn't have all the answers yet. She had something better. She had a connection again. Maybe small. Maybe fragile, but real. Humans didn't give up. They sent messages into the dark. They waited, even when hope felt small. They listened. And when the silence answered back, they smiled and tried again. Because even in the coldest space, humanity carried something special. A need to understand, a need to care, a need to connect, and above all, a quiet promise. You are not alone.